Hello everyone, this is Ureh the Blender Magus, and welcome back to another Blender tutorial series for character modeling. So this time around, we're going to be modeling a version of Anubis. A friend of mine at college, she made a sculpture of Anubis out of clay, and she gave it to me, and that it kind of inspired me to make my own little drawing of him. And this drawing, I decided will become a character model. I will have this drawing linked through my Google Drive in the description below so you guys can pick it up. But this is what we'll be using as a reference to model the character. So I'm going to try to make it so this is our only reference that we use when we model it. Because a lot of the times I model characters based off of a model sheet, but you actually don't need a model sheet to model characters. So well, let's get started. Now I don't necessarily have a plan for like the amount of videos that'll be made in this particular series, so we're just gonna start and see how it goes. So the first thing I need to do is activate my screencast keys so that you guys can see what is going on here. Here we go. Okay. Alright, that's good. So, first thing we're going to do actually is we're going to split the view. And the reason that we're splitting it is just so that we can see our background or our reference image on the side, just so that we have an idea of what we're doing as we're going. So for the cube here, we can actually delete that. Shift A, make a cylinder, and we're just going to change this to 12 and fill it with nothing. We don't want to fill it with anything. Okay, awesome. So then we tap in edit mode. I'm actually going to hit 5 to bring it into orthographic. Some people say you shouldn't model or sculpt in orthographic. I disagree. At least for me, this is a lot easier to get behind. So let's bring this up here. So what I'm gonna do, we'll block out the proportions of the character first before we do anything else. So let's get some edge loops in here. 2, hit 3, and we'll hit S and X to scale it on the X axis. S and Y to scale it on the Y axis. Select these with Alt and right click. I'm going to bring that forward a bit. Then you want to hit O for proportional editing, and you want to make sure to hit Alt O for connected, just for that. So let's move that on the Y axis actually. Right, and you want to scale it on the Y axis as well. Go a little bit back. Okay. Alright, now we're gonna hit 2, go into edge mode, move these out just a little bit. Okay. Alright. 3, let's go back into the side view. Now, what we're gonna do is we're going to select those, delete vertices, select this whole thing, delete the vertices, and then we're going to make a mirror modifier. Clipping. Okay. Now we're just going to merge these together. Make an edge loop in there. F twice to make faces after you select that. Okay, there we go. Now what we're gonna do, whoops, didn't mean to extrude that. Gonna hit 3, go on the face select mode, and then we're gonna extrude it. So to smooth for you guys, it'll be W, and then You know what? I keep forgetting that they moved it. So actually, you guys are gonna have to hit Function F3. Whoops. Function F3 and search for smooth. And then smooth vertices right there. And you'll smooth the vertices. I have it mapped to Alt Q. And I mapped it back in 2.79, so I don't even know where it is in 2.78, so I'll re-record over this video with how to do that. But for now, just bear with me. Okay, so we got this. We're gonna move it up and in a little bit, and then we're going to extrude it again, smooth it again, and move it up. Okay. Oops. So check it. Okay, and then we're gonna move it a little bit to the back. SY, make it a little thicker. All right. Now, for the arms, what we're gonna do is we're gonna select these two and move these back a little bit. And we're gonna go back to vertex select, and we're going to make sure that these are in the right position. Let's see here. We can actually move this out a little bit. There we go. Now what we're just making the base mesh right now. We're going to be sculpting the rest of the muscle detail, and then we'll retopologize over that with the actual mesh that we'll be using. So don't worry about putting too much detail into this part right here. So now that we have this shape made, what you want to do, select this, bring these out a little bit more, and hit E to extrude, and then rotate these up like so. So E to extrude and rotate, or R for rotate. Okay. Now let's get the vertex select mode going. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right. Alright, so now that we have that, we're going to E-extrude, and we'll have a spot for the arms. Alright, and we're gonna hit 3 to go in the face select mode. And let's check the side view to make sure that the arms are in the proper shape. Okay, and extrude again. And that'll be the tip here. So what we'll do with this part here is we'll go to mesh or loop tools and click circle. If you don't have loop tools enabled, that's alright. Just go to edit, preferences, add-ons, and then search for loop tools, and it'll be the first thing that pops up, mesh loop tools. There you go. So once you have that enabled, go on ahead and select, well, in edge mode, which is 2 on the top row numbers, so on the top of your keyboard. You want to hit W, loop tools again, loop tools circle, and Okay. 3. Select this whole ring. And we're just gonna rotate that forward a bit. Bring it up on the Y-axis. Okay. Now we're gonna hit 2 on the top row numbers, and then we're gonna hit Control B for bevel. We're gonna bevel that. Scroll up your mouse wheel once to add a loop through it. And we have 3 of those. We're gonna take this one edge loop here, hit G twice for edge slide, bring it down, and hit S for scale to scale this up. Then we're gonna make another loop in here and scale that down. Gonna go to 1, and then we're just going to, or not go to 1, hit one of the top row numbers to go to vertex select, and we're just going to mess with the shape of these a little bit. Okay, there we go. So we have that. Let's start making room for the rib cage area. So let's add some loops in here. Bring these out and about. Another edge loop. Further bring out those muscles. Again, this is real preliminary. We're just getting the basic of basic shapes. So don't worry about the accuracy of anything right now or how dense the mess is. We're just blocking out the basic shapes of everything before we get into the next steps. Alright, so we got a good upper torso going here. So now let's make the legs. So let's go here, hit F, SX, just scale that in, bring that over, bring this over, this way. We're gonna bring this down. Okay. Now with this, we're gonna add a couple of more. There we go. That was just a bevel, so Control B for bevel. It's looking good. Scale it in the x-axis. Actually, just move it in the x-axis. There we go. Bring it down. All right. Well, we're going to select this entire row here, and then we're going to extrude it. We're going to hit W, loop tool, circle. Just circle it out. Okay. Bring that up just a little bit. Okay. Now this character is basically standing up on his hind legs, or what would be the hind legs of a dog. So that's how we'll go about modeling it. So this will be up like this. This will be more like this. And we'll scale this down. Let that down. There we go. So let's see, how far up are we in terms of... So let's grab this. Actually, we can scale the whole thing down. And Control L to select everything if you already have a part of it selected. But yeah, you basically want to scale the whole thing down just so that it's not too big for our scene. So there we go. Okay. So the upper torso seems to be about 3 squares, so that's roughly how long the leg should be as well. Okay. Alright. So that's the first part of the leg. And we'll just bring it down a little bit just so that it's actually facing down. And we'll extrude this next part. Okay, and then we'll extrude this last part. Okay, so let's bring that in, and let's bring that in, and let's bring that out. So, what I'm gonna do actually, move this torso up a bit because I want the legs to be a little long. So this is how I think about creating characters on hind legs. This part is the knee and this part is the second knee. So it's pretty straightforward, really. Scale this up. Actually, keep it down. We'll scale this up, most definitely. So Alt S to scale that up. And then we'll grab this and we'll scale this part up as well. And then we'll actually scale this part down a bit. Okay. But yeah, so scale this down a wee little bit. But the idea, then we'll bevel this actually. I'll give it a couple of extra loops. So the idea, this is the thigh, this is the calf, and then this is like the foot. Make 2 of those as well. Shrink those a little bit. So if this is like the foot, then this next part would be the toes. So SZ0, after we extrude that, bring it down. Shrink your influence of the proportional editing. Okay, so let's select these here. Extrude them out. I for inset them. Go to the inset faces setting and click individual, and then GY to bring those out individually. Actually, no, don't do that. Extrude this part out and leave it be. We'll actually model individual feet piece or toe pieces and place them on when we're sculpting. Just so that we can get a better grasp of the detail that way. Okay, very good, very good. We'll probably do the same thing with the hands. We'll probably model those separately and attach them later. So the last thing. Oops. Is we probably need to get a face on here right now. But first, let's fix some of these proportions with the body. Then we're going to shrink the width of the arms. There we go. But we can increase the length of them as well. And we probably should a little bit, just a little bit. Okay. Let's go back to solid view. We're gonna change some of this up a little bit. Okay, so we'll actually just go on ahead and model the what'll be the head now. So let's make a cube, tab in the edit mode, bring this up, scale it down. First thing we need to do is divide this up real quick. Okay. Now, if I remember my dogs correctly, and then we'll uncheck individual after you do that. So we're going to bring that part out, scale it down. Then we're going to extrude it on the y-axis, like so. Scale that down. Rotate it this way. And then we're going to bring this whole bottom section down. And then we're going to hit 2 and bring this part down as well. And then we're going to edge slide it. Okay. Perfect. So now let's make this a little less boxy. GY. We'll bring these down on the z-axis, and then we'll bring these in on the y-axis, or x-axis rather. Then bring them up on the z-axis. Okay, last thing for the head, at least for this base mesh part of the head, we're gonna make these ears here, or at least a decent shape for them. SX. Okay, so now we're gonna select this middle edge here. Should go all the way around your face, hide it, and then with H, so hit H to hide, and then select this left side or right side here, and then hit X vertices, and then Alt H. You should have your middle vertex back, and then mirror modifier it with clipping. Alright, Now we're going to scale this down, move it towards the center. Okay. Scale it down. That's about right. That's about right. Bring it closer to here. Maybe a little bit bigger. There we go. That's good. That should be good, actually. Okay. So now let's rotate that head down that way. There we go. Okay. Scale that down just a little bit. I feel better about that. Okay. Actually, I'm going to put the head a little bit higher up because I'm going to extrude this neck a little bit more. There we go.
You'll never have the sacred stone. Oh, this you crazy mother.
There we go. Okay. Now for, I guess we'll also make a quick little hand. Oops. And again, this is just the rough detail part. No, don't try to start doing all the intensive details right now, especially because we're not using a model sheet or anything like that. You really want to make sure that you start from as little detail as possible. So after you add these two edge loops here, we're going to subdivide them. And then we're going to hit 1, X, delete vertices, A to select everything, and for me again it's all Q, but for you you'll have to hit function F3 and find smooth. But hopefully I've already found out how to do that and I've edited it into the video so you don't have to hit F3 all the time. So what we're going to do is select these here, these vertices, and G and Z, move them up. We're going to select these vertices here for the finger and move them up like that. We're also going to go to edge mode and select those, move them up. Now fingers usually have a taper, so with proportional editing you want to scale this up a little bit more. We're going to scale the finger down actually for the taper, at least for that part. So this part we scale it down, but now we're going to actually scale this front part back up. Get that stylized wolf claw going. Now let's select these two, bring them down, and then we'll make the nail right now. So inset that, bring it up. Just like that. Okay, select these, E to extrude, G to grab, S to scale. So something cool you can do is while holding control, if you left click, you can extrude. So we're gonna extrude, scale, extrude, scale, extrude, scale. Bring that down. So there we go. You now have a claw. Okay. There you go. And then we can scale that in on the y-axis like that. All right. So we have the fingernail. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to, after selecting all that, hit Shift D on the Y and move it forward. Now once you've done that, if you hit Shift and R, you'll recreate your previous function that you just did. So hit Shift R one more time and you should have 4 fingers there, which is what we want. Now what you want to do is Alt right click one of the rings of the fingers and then hit the period button to bring up where you want your origin points, and click 3D cursor because we want our origin points to be the 3D cursor. Then you want to hit Shift S and this will bring up where you want your 3D cursor at. So if we click cursor to selected, well, our cursor will be moved into the center of what we have selected there. Now, because our pivot point is at the 3D cursor, if I hover my mouse over this finger and hit L, I should be able to select it, and if I hit S and X, I should be able to scale it from this particular point on the X-axis. So I can elongate my finger from its base. So we're going to select the middle and ring finger, and we're going to hit S and X to scale those up. Next, we're going to select the pinky finger, and we're going to hit S and X to scale that down. And then we're going to hit the ring finger, and we're going to hit S and X to scale that down just a little bit. Now, usually, if you look at masculine versus feminine hands, the pinky the index finger is usually shorter than the ring finger on a male. And the ring finger on females can actually be the same size as their index finger or even smaller. So it just depends on the type of character you're creating, but it's a good rule to follow in general. Good. Now, another thing you want to do is you want to place these in the order of your knuckles, because if you look at your knuckles, they're in like a staircase almost. So they kind of form like an arch, something like this. Okay, so make sure you do that with the positioning of your fingers. Now, we need to make the thumb. So, what we're going to do is we're going to hit 3, we're going to select everything from here up, and we're going to Shift D to duplicate that, S to scale, Alt S to scale to thicken it, and then an X on the X-axis to make it wider. And then we're just going to rotate that until it is in its proper place. Now, if you look at your own hand, you'll see that the technically second knuckle of your thumb is almost, so it's a little bit further out than the base of your index finger. So we're just gonna move that out a little bit. Alt S to scale it down just a little bit, and we're gonna move that back. So something like that. Okay. We're gonna G and Z and move it down, and we're gonna rotate this. Well, hit period, go back to medium point, rotate this down. Okay. So now that we have that, we're going to connect everything up here. So the first thing we want to do is, again, we're just going to make sure that the positioning and everything is all right. So relaxed hand, the fingers are spread out a little bit, not each individually looking forward, not like we have them here. So what we're going to do is just going to rotate these fingers a little bit to better match what the actual resting position would be on our mesh, because you want to model things as close to their resting position as possible. Helps with deformation later when you're rigging it. Okay, there we go. So now what I usually do is I'll go between here and I'll make faces in between the fingers. So just go and select these two faces here and hit F. And that has a reason. I'll show you in a second. So our fingers have faces now. We hit 2 to go into edge mode. And select this ring of edges here and hit E to extrude. First thing we're going to do is hit SX0, flatten that out, and then we're going to hit C and middle mouse button to click and deselect all of the edges that aren't at the top here. And we're going to hit S, Z, and 0 to flatten those out, and then we're going to hit C again, select all these edges at the bottom, deselect anything that isn't these right here, SZ0, flatten those out again, select those, S, Y, or Z, bring those down. So if you look at your hand is actually in the shape of a wedge. So that's what we've just created. We've created this wedge shape here. Okay. Let's make sure that's all the way back now. Okay. So now we want to add a ring of edges here, and we'll leave that here for now. Okay. So if we go back to solid view, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the middle point of where we welded our fingers together, and I'm going to hit G twice to edge slide those. And watch this. We're going to F, F, F. Drastically reduced the number of vertices, and now we have knuckles. Like that. So the next thing I want to do is I actually want to edge slide the finger, these middle parts of the finger, even closer together, but not so that they're touching, but just close enough. Okay. Next, I'm going to select all of these faces here. Well, before we do that, make sure that these are kind of bent outwards as well. Okay. Now let's try this again. We're going to select all the faces here. And yes, you want to go over this barrier line because your knuckle is that's kind of how it is actually in real life. So now that we have that, E to extrude, E to extrude, smooth it out as many times or scale it down, whichever one, and boom, that'll be good for now. Smooth it a little bit more. Okay. Alright, so that's that part. Now we need to figure this out. So we have 8 vertices here, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need 2 more, And then we will get rid of this. So now we have 8 vertices selected. And extrude these out. W loop tool circle. Oh, hold up, guys. Okay, so let's move this part out. And let's go. Let's hit 3 on the number pad. I'm just gonna rotate this down, bring it down, S to scale. Okay, so that's why it's a good thing to have proportional editing turned on. Hit G and use your scroll wheel to increase or decrease the influence. I'm just gonna increase this influence all the way up here. So there. There. Now, it's good to just also get the shape of the palms going while you're here. That's an important part of modeling the hand that I believe I used to leave out in my younger days modeling here. So if this is the thing, I feel comfortable doing that. I do. So I do feel comfortable. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to wireframe actually, and I'm just gonna move. Whoops! I'm just gonna move the hand kind of up, or these fingers here. There we go. Just so that the thumb has some room to breathe. It's not so close to the other fingers, because the thumb, you know, the thumb kind of has its own space. Okay. Control L. Let's move that around. Move that. Okay. Control F, and then we're going to, I think it's Control E. Yeah, Control E to bridge these edge loops. All right. Let's go back to solid mode. All right, we're gonna Alt S to scale this up. Hit O to turn that off. Okay, that's what we should do. I think it's Control N. No. Alt N. Recalculate outside just to make sure that everything's going okay. There we go. And we'll scale this up. Bring it out, scale it up, just like that. Okay. Alt O back on, or just O. Yeah, the way Blender 2.8 works is, or the way Blender 2.8 works is, you hit O to turn on proportional editing. And once you already turned it on, you can hit Alt O and change it to connected or anything like that. Before, you can turn on proportional editing with Alt O, and it just automatically go to connected, and then you can cut it off with Alt O. But you have to hit O now. And I think they did that just to try to universalize all the keyboard shortcut keys. On the board shortcut, anyway. So now we go W, subdivide that. Okay. Boom, boom. We have 2 faces, and okay. All right. So how many faces do we have here? 18. So with 18 faces, we're actually going to loop tool circle this, and whoops, actually no. before we do that, extrude this on the x-axis, and we're gonna mesh loop tools that, and this is with W. Circle that up. Scale this down just a little bit, and then we're going to hit W, and I believe this is where grid fill is, or is that Control F? Yeah, Control F, grid fill, not fill. Grid fill. There we go. And we can smooth that down a little bit. Alt S, scale it up. S on the Y axis, scale it out. Just a little bit. Okay. So now we have our stock hand here. And we're just going to scale it down, rotate it, and keep in mind I'm doing this in edit mode. Move that there, move that there. We'll scale it up just for the sake of it. Okay. All right. So, last but not least, we're just going to thicken up this bottom part of the hand, honestly, because we're going to, when we get to the sculpting stage, we're just going to connect these up with the sculpting add-on, and it'll be easier to really connect everything if the hand is already mostly fitted to the wrist. Okay. Okay. So according to the model sheet, not the model sheet, but the reference image, we actually need to increase the size of the legs. So let's select all of these. And we'll just hit S for scale. G. Bring it down. S for scale. Bring it out and then bring it down. There we go. Select everything and bring it up. And we can select the head. And again, make sure that you move, when you move the things, you move them in edit mode. You don't want to change the origin point of your object. Okay, gonna add a modifier and mirror it. So now we have mirrored hands. So we pretty much have the base mesh, with one last thing that we need to do is the tail. So we can W loop tool circle this just so that it is circular and extrude out. Click, click and scale, click and scale, and click and scale. Okay, so there we go. Bring this in on the x-axis a little bit. Can bring this in on the x-axis, and we're good. Okay. So now we have the base model for Anubis. Now let's see here. If we drew an arc, down here, okay. I want to scale the legs up just a little bit more, or at least make them longer. So I'm gonna go on the wireframe here. Just going to, there we go. Just gotta fix that up. And then let's just bring the whole torso down. Scale this up as well and bring it down. Okay, there we go. Alright, now if I drew an arc, I'll Okay, I feel better about that. Alright, so again, make sure that you move everything in edit mode. Okay. And there we have it. This is the base mesh. Or the this is the base mesh. And we could probably also use this as a proxy mesh too. So what we'll do is we'll go to our scene collections here, and we'll name this. In fact, we'll name this proxy head. We'll select this, name this proxy body, and we'll select this proxy hands. Okay, so this will be useful later when we come into rigging, but for now it's also going to be our base mesh for sculpting. So we're actually going to put this in its own collection, so we're going to name this the proxy mesh collection. Okay, and then select these, drag it down, and drag it down. Okay, so it's not a part of the collection, I think. There we go. And make sure you drag it into the proxy collection. Alright. So now we have everything and it's good to go, but the one thing we're going to do before anything else is we're going to Shift D to duplicate these, and we're going to name everything that has 001 on it base. So base mesh body, and then we'll do base mesh hands, base mesh head. Okay, and we'll make a separate collection. I'm going to call this the base mesh, and bring that in there, bring that in there, and bring that in there. Okay, so we're going to turn off our proxy collection and move that up, and now we have our base meshes, and this is what we're going to use for when we start sculpting in the next video. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for any more Blender tutorials, and in the next part we're going to get started sculpting the basic proportion details on our character. So I'll see you then.